Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for the new podcast episode, DubaiView podcast episode number 2. Today we have a special guest, Dave Chaggar. Welcome, Dave Chaggar.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much having you here. Dave Chaggar, for those who don't know you, who is Dave Chaggar? Would you mind give my audience a quick rundown?
No problem. No problem at all. So my name's Dave. I've been here for close to 10 years here in Dubai. Originally of British origin, Indian British. Studied at St Andrews, economist by trade. And like most people, once you have a taste of Dubai, that's it. Khalas, finished.
Amazing.
So yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell.
So a lot of people is coming from UK now moving to Dubai.
Very much so. I think, especially given the situation in terms of the political climate and also in terms of taxation, etc. Just seeing more and more and more people moving from the UK, Europe, Far East, etc. Because again, when you compare like for like, the quality of life is so much better here in Dubai. It just ticks so many boxes for the vast majority of people.
Amazing. Can you tell me why, in the moment currently, a lot of people from UK are moving to Dubai? Because London was very well known for a luxury lifestyle, big real estate empire. So why everything changed that, let's say, the elite of the London or UK people are moving currently to Dubai?
So it always used to be considered as a financial hub. London always had that heritage, both in terms of banking, insurance, etc. But things have changed so much over the last decade, I would say. Now it's very much more connected world. People can be based overseas and still have their companies in Europe, UK, etc. So a lot of people have now reconsidered, even if they still have operations in the UK or Europe, but to make the UAE home, because it just gives that flexibility, work-life balance, where they can still do what they need to do in terms of business perspective, but why necessarily kind of forego in terms of quality of life?
I totally agree. Then, of course, I made as well my research about you, and I got a lot of information what are very interesting as well about your parents. So for what I saw, your family have been widely successful in the entrepreneurial space. And what I hear, you are coming from an automotive space. So your parents was working with Nissan, BMW, and much more brands. What you can say about it? How the connection happened that your family is into that type of business space?
So I think with most of the families who emigrated to the UK during that period, especially from East Africa, it was really a case of them reestablishing themselves, finding their feet. And thankfully, we had quite a few lucky breaks in terms of the business side. And things then escalated very quickly. So I remember in the younger years, like during the summer holidays, going to the factory, seeing all the workers, seeing all the machines being operated. And it was always fun. It was always inspirational to see that, okay, this is real kind of day-to-day industrial type of business. And that was always kind of something which we look back to in terms of looking forward to the next summer, and also just thinking in terms of where the future may hold after university, after graduation, like in terms of what would be the ideal business kind of interest to be focused on. And then I also being involved in the power and energy sector, which was very, very different.
Wow.
Kind of gave two different sides of the spectrum. The thing is, with the UAE, you're not necessarily bound or limited by a specific industry or sector.
Totally agree. Totally agree. And then in the end of the day, you was going a total different way. Now you opened the Capital Club in Dubai. Can you talk a little bit about it?
So Capital Club has been operational for over 15 years. So it was actually earmarked for establishment before the DIFC was actually fully operational. So it's actually owned by the founder of Enoch, Mr. Hussein Sultan Al Junaidi. And during the period that has been operational, we've seen most of the very high profile kind of business leaders within the UAE who have been present, both in terms of like owners of major conglomerates and government officials as well. So it really is a unique melting pot in terms of the far-fetching business community here.
Amazing. But what I have to do, for example, I'm an entrepreneur or CEO. What I have to do to enter in that Dubai club?
So the easiest is to come as a guest of a member in terms of having meetings and discussions. However, to actually be put forward as a member, there is quite a process involved in terms of due diligence vetting through the board of directors, just to ensure it's necessarily kind of the right fit. Both for yourselves and for the club as a whole. It is a very relaxed kind of business setting. We have over 1,200 members now. And it
Wow.
really kind of gives a balance between conducting your day-to-day business activities and also then the informal aspects, entertaining your guests and clients. So it's kind of effectively a catch-all in terms of all of your day-to-day business needs.
Okay, you said you have 1,200 members already in the
Yes.
Dubai Club. That's insane. So that type of 1,200 members are CEOs from different type of companies. How I can see it? So which type of benefits
Hmm.
that 1,200 people have, or someone who is sawing the episode and saying, "Wow, I want to enter the Dubai Club."
Yeah. So it really is a wide mix. Obviously, 1,200 members will come from very diverse backgrounds. So, like generally speaking, we have a lot of entrepreneurs, C-suite executives, ministers, ambassadors, consul generals, and then some of the owners of major conglomerates within the region. Many of the names are kind of household names that you would recognize. They have either their retail presence across a lot of the major malls here, or they're very big in the construction and development sectors. So it's really quite a broad spectrum. The main thing is everybody has a similar kind of way of thinking and a way of operations. They respect each other's privacy. In terms of sector as well, it really is quite diverse. Most people consider DIFC to be the financial hub of Dubai. However, we've got most of the major banks, law firms, private equity, consulting, venture capital, family offices who effectively utilize the Capital Club on a day-to-day basis.
This is that what I wanted to say. So it's same like a family office. So in the end of the day, each member have his connections,
Hmm.
and if you are a member in the Dubai Club, you have multiply opportunities to grow your business, because if you need something in a financial way, there are people who are in the finance or with the bankings, there are people with construction, there are people into the real estate. So you have a safe business environment.
Exactly, because everything is effectively controlled in terms of the caliber of people within the club. So it effectively serves as a catch-all where you've got the elite business community in different industries and sectors, which makes life a lot easier. And when you meet them on a regular basis, either directly or indirectly in the club, that helps to then see where there could be opportunities and synergy. So
Amazing.
every day is very different within the club.
So I guess after the podcast, I have to talk with you. Maybe I can become a member.
Not a problem.
So then you joined Capital Club. So within 2 months of moving to Dubai, first of all, what exactly Capital Club, and why did you decide to join the firm?
So initially, when I moved to Dubai, was for our own family business requirements. So one of the major interests that we have is on the power sector in East Africa, in Tanzania. So this was the main purpose of relocating to be based here, so that then things became a lot easier in terms of travel, for taxation purposes, for setting up different entities here. So for a number of years, I was effectively involved in the family business, streamlining the operations, etc. It was only about 3.5 years ago that I actually joined Capital Club as the sales director. I was familiar with the club for 9.5 years or so, introduced by a local Emirati, very good friend, where the children were at the same school. He understood my business interests and then immediately recommended I meet one of his very good friends, member of the club. And that kind of always rung true in my mind. How would I have normally met that person if it wasn't for the connection and for an environment like Capital Club as well?
Wow, that's amazing. Then as well, you are into the retail, real estate, sales. So now the whole world is talking about real estate in Dubai. How you are seeing in the moment the real estate in Dubai?
I think post-COVID, it's just gone through the roof. There's been so much interest in Dubai for a number of reasons, in terms of whether it be as a prime residence, whether it be for investment purposes. Dubai has kind of given all those opportunities for people who are just concerned about the what ifs and how to protect their wealth for the long term. So I've seen it's dramatically changed post COVID. Initially, I think during the whole COVID period, the whole world kind of stood still. However, the UAE adapted very quickly to kind of open up and that put it in good stead. Since COVID, I've just seen prices keep on skyrocketing in all different industries and sectors, and it's going to be a very interesting couple of years ahead for sure.
So what do you thinking about how you say the prices are increasing a lot? So now a lot of people are talking the prices will crash, there will be a real estate regulation, a
Yes.
price regulation. How do you see the situation? What are your expectations about it?
Well, the way I see it is the UAE is a far more mature market now than ever before. So it's a lot more able to kind of ride any global financial waves that may happen. A lot of the mindset of expats here has changed as well over recent years. It's no longer a place where generally people come for like 3-4 years, work, and then travel back to their home country. I think people see it with a much longer term plan these days. They're now looking at 10, 15, 20 years as an overall kind of time frame to start with. So it's become a lot more rigid as a market. Whilst it would not surprise me if certain brackets do soften slightly, I think that's a softening is very different to a crash. Certain sectors, I think, like the ultra luxury sector, prices will continue to rise steeply. A lot of people are surprised by the prices now, whether it be Dubai Hills, District 1, similar areas. But again, it just comes down to simple supply and demand. To find villas of that type of magnitude, that type of plot size, is very rare these days. So obviously, they will hold price that much stronger. And again, where Dubai is now positioning itself as the safest place in the world, the most flexible environment. A lot of the millionaires and billionaires who are based overseas and considering their options, the UAE becomes a very, very strong choice for them.
I totally agree. But from all these investment options what Dubai have, in that current situation, what you would recommend more an investor, an off-plan investment or a secondary market investment?
It really depends in terms of their time frames, the areas they're looking to be based, whether they can wait or not, whether they're more looking as investments on a yield play, or whether they're looking for capital appreciation. It really comes down to each and every person's requirements at that given time. There are always opportunities, I feel, in the secondary market. However, off plan, if you're prepared to wait, at the end of the day, you're getting a brand new product as well. So it really depends on the kind of the background and profile of the investor. What's their purpose? What is their objective that they're looking for? And when you've been in Dubai for long enough, you always are thankful for the opportunities that you've grasped, but also you always rue the opportunities that you've missed in terms of where the prices have now skyrocketed as a result. But it's one of those things. You cannot necessarily invest in each and every avenue. It's kind of taking the rough with the smooth in a way.
I totally agree. I see it same like you. So you are pretty sure that in the next couple of years there will be not a bubble and not a crash in the UAE.
I think it's very different right now. The Middle East has got so much interest and attention. It tends to be more and more a popular choice where all I can see is a net inflow of people moving to the UAE rather than the other way around. So if you have got 15, 20, 25,000 millionaires moving to the UAE, is there enough in terms of the high-end property sector that can cater for that? And this is something which, again, just comes down to supply and demand as to what's available, what's coming in the secondary market, as well as what's coming through an off-plan. And that's what, as long as the two are relatively well aligned, then prices should remain more stable.
I totally agree. I totally agree. I guess the most problem what the people are not seeing, they're just seeing the construction of the developers.
Yes.
They're just seeing towers by towers are getting built currently in Dubai.
Yeah.
But they are not looking the vision of the rulers from Dubai and as well about the master plan from Dubai. And
true. And I think that, so much has changed on the development side these days. So thankfully, given the club and for various other reasons, a lot of the major developers, the owners, I know very well. And whilst the perception may be that, okay, properties are not necessarily moving as quickly as they used to, often they're pre-sold within a few days even now.
yes,
So it's very, very different to the rest of the world where they understand that they release the right product at the right price with the right payment terms, then it tends to move very, very quickly.
This is that what it's making crazy, because for example, I'm working a lot of times with German, Switzerland, Austrian investors,
Yes.
and they cannot believe it. So if you know it and you are a businessman, Germans, you cannot push them to anything. They
Yes.
have to see it, they have to understand it, and that's why every time I'm saying them, come for 3-4 days to Dubai, I will pay you the ticket, I will pay you the hotel, let's go to the developers, let's see and launch in Dubai how it's working.
Yes.
And they are shocked every time they are saying, how is that possible that a building can get sold out
Of
in
course.
3 to 4 days? You are selling Nutella glass, it's not apartments.
Yeah. The thing is, it's a very fast-paced economy. And often when you're based in a more kind of traditional conservative country, it takes a little while to understand the speed of the UAE. Property is moving very, very quickly. It will continue to do so. Certain areas where people may have doubted whether they would grow the way they have, now when you look at the market prices, it really is quite astonishing. So it tends to always be a city that keeps on surprising you in terms of its resilience, in terms of where there is opportunity for growth in the future.
Yes,
So
I think I have a simple mess about it, because in the end of the day, Dubai is not big. So, and we are seeing it as well here now, the traffic. For example, I'm living in Creek Harbor, my office is in Jumeirah.
Yes.
So just that 20 kilometer is giving me an hour of driving in the
Exactly.
rush hour times. So, and if you're seeing now how much it's getting developed internally in Dubai, there are not more plots around DAFC, downtown, Business Bay, Maidan. So there will be everything will be built. So in the end of the day, if you're looking to 2030, that we should have 8 millions habitants in Dubai, where the billionaires and millionaires should live. I don't guess that they will live in MR South or in Abu Dhabi if they have the offices in DIFC and in downtown. So that's why I'm pretty sure the prices will still skyrocket, because no one wants to drive 3 hours, 4 hours in the rush hour time to their office.
Exactly. And I think traffic is a very good indicator as to how the economy is moving. In the earlier days, 20, 25 minutes, you could get anywhere around Dubai effectively. It's changed, but for the better, I feel. Yes, there's more traffic on the roads, but that shows that the population is growing. More and more people are making the UAE home. And then it comes down to location. That's the most important thing, to kind of be close to whether it be the schools or whether it be where your office is based, just to make life a little bit easier. And again, in those prime areas, much of the area has already been developed. There will still continue to be further developments, but again, it's about availability of space, which will also help to keep prices more stable. Still, when you compare to London, New York, a lot of the major cities, Singapore, price per square foot in the UAE is still lower.
Of course.
So that also gives you a little bit of strength to feel that prices will continue to keep on rising.
Absolutely. And in the end of the day, compared to UK or Germany, we're not just selling apartments here, we're selling a lifestyle. In the end of the day, you have a kids play area, you have a gym, you have a sauna, aroma room. So it's not just an apartment. For example, in Germany, if I buy a property, I have just a house with a garden. But here, 80% are master communities or inside the buildings.
With full facilities.
With full facilities.
And where else do you get that abundance of like gym, etc.? And the other thing I think is worth noting as well, a lot of these cities, London, New York, etc., whilst there have been resilient markets for a long period of time, there is more susceptibility for prices to drop due to political unrest, due to taxation, all of these types of factors that may result in the ultra-high net worth community moving out. However, the UAE is far more flexible. I think thanks to the leadership here in the UAE, it makes a considerable difference as to it's for the better of all of the general population. We have the best of the best in terms of healthcare, in terms of schooling, in terms of commercial office space, in terms of the beaches, hotels. It's just kind of a catch-all in terms of all the benefits that anybody of a certain kind of income bracket or wealth bracket would like to see.
I totally agree. But I come back to the Dubai Club because I forgot one important question what I wanted to ask you. And the question is, what makes Capital Club different from other business networking hubs?
So I think the key is that we have that physical location. Being in the heart of DIFC, everybody who spends any time in DIFC generally is familiar with Capital Club, its origins, etc. Most private members clubs still have a very high kind of profile in terms of their members, but are often more slanting towards the social aspect. Capital Club is out and outright a business club, but with social kind of undertones as well. So we have a combination of the two. But that means that people are far more comfortable discussing their day-to-day businesses, what are the opportunities in mind, what they're looking to do to continue to grow. And beyond that is also all the thought leadership topics that we constantly have within the club. There is always some form of extra information on a new industry or sector that's very, very useful for the members. So it's like continual learning in many respects. What I do within the club is a little bit more different because some of the, especially on the higher profile members, it's all to do with discretion as to them feeling comfortable. So often they may come to me with their specific requirements for me to see who would be the right fit in terms of execution side as well. So profiling, connecting, facilitating. So having that extra angle within Capital Club, I think adds considerable value as well.
Amazing. It sounds really, really interesting. And I'm pretty sure you will get a lot of inquiries after our podcast who want to enter into the Dubai Club. And my next question is, how has Dubai's business landscape transformed in recent years? What's your secret to build lasting professional relationships in Dubai?
So I think from the earlier inception of Dubai, the UAE, it was always considered to be oil and gas as kind of the bread and butter, and then, supported by the tourism sector. Now it's so diverse, it's very, very hard to keep track. I mean, you just look at now how they're adopting blockchain, crypto, Web3, AI, all of these hot topics in terms of emerging growth industries. The UAE wants to be the leader. So, and that's above and beyond the trading aspects. It's got all different kind of angles and verticals to its business sector now, that it allows for it to be far more flexible. So it's no longer just within specific kind of brackets.
Yeah, that's crazy. So the technology in Dubai already is advanced. So
And they're willing to invest as well.
Yeah.
They're willing to actually put it forward as, policies and agendas that actually make sure that it's not just there, but it's widely adopted as well.
100%. The first time when I moved to Dubai, I had an incident. I was calling the police, and the guy who I crashed in, he said, "No, you don't have to call the police. We have the police app." I said, "How the police app?" He said, "Yes,
Exactly.
you just have to make a picture of our car. You put your driver ID inside. It's getting sent to the insurance company, and they clear everything." I was shocked. I said, "How is that possible?" He said, "Yes, the police is not coming for the small things." And then I got used to it that here everything is digital, from opening the LLC, free zone, mainland company. You don't have to go more to any offices.
I think one of the key things with the UAE is they always attracted the best talent from, for the last 15, 20 years. So having done so, they've enabled the possibility of digitizing so many different sectors to make sure it's far more streamlined and ideal for day-to-day operations. So even within the real estate sector now as well, there's so much information that you can take on hand in terms of pricing, in terms of trends, all of these types of things that weren't necessarily the case 15, 20 years ago. So it's fast, it's very fast in terms of the changes that are happening here.
Yes, that's true. So, and what trends are you seeing in private equity and venture capital in the Middle East?
I think it's commonly known that there is a significant amount of dry powder here. There is a significant appetite in terms of investments. What I'm seeing is it's on both sides, both on the private equity VC side in terms of inward investments for semi-established opportunities with high-profile founders that have exited in the past coming into the UAE to add that as part of their kind of basket or portfolio as to operations. There's always been appetite on that side. But then also now what I'm seeing as well is bringing some of the local UAE homegrown brands overseas as well. So it's kind of happening in both different avenues at the moment. It's a very, very exciting space. I think that it's becoming a far more mature sector on both the PE and the venture capital side. It's always important to do your due diligence, and then for anybody within this sector, there's generally a process to follow. You can't necessarily approach the Mubadlas and PIFs of this world off the bat. It's a case of taking it in a step-by-step approach. effectively normally by friends and family as the initial round, whether it be seed or pre-seed, then going further afield in terms of private investors before you can then start even entertaining the likes of the institutional investors. They want to see runway, and they want to see that you've got a proof of concept, ideally be able be operational, and what are your projections and exit strategy. So it's quite a maturing sector, let's say.
Yes, absolutely. This is a very wide spectrum. As well, you saw now the post, I guess, for 4 weeks, what Elon Musk says. Dubai is the #1 city in the world. So everyone is talking about it. And a lot of big companies as well from Europe are starting to moving and putting, let's say, the mother company into the UAE. So the economy in the next 3 to 5 years will be huge, because in the end of the day, what I saw in my last 8 years, everything or a lot of things was import and export. But now as well, Dubai is starting to produce and having production companies as well in Jebel Ali. And if you're seeing as well, the developers, they are starting not more ordering metal and all that construction things outside of the country. They're starting to produce it as well in-house in Dubai.
100%. I think one of the aspects is in terms of how flexible and efficient it is to operate companies here. And then also in terms of how the system, the different entities, government entities, etc., everything kind of operates for the better of everybody. So you feel safe here, you feel comfortable here, whether it be as an owner, an investor, or an employee. Everybody feels like they are comfortable and relaxed, that they can just focus on their day-to-day work, enjoy their free time. So it gives all of those benefits. And as well as being strategically positioned in the Middle East, it allows for you to do business across the world very, very easily.
Yes, absolutely. In 8 hours, you're crossing everywhere. We are near to Asia, near to Africa. So
it's not really difficult making a 2-3 day trip if required.
Yes.
You know, being based in the UAE is far more efficient in many ways.
Yes, absolutely. So, and then are there any emerging areas of sectors within Dubai's real estate market that you think are golden opportunities for investing?
I think it really depends as to your appetite, what you're comfortable with normally in terms of investment. I think on the short term, rental space is also becoming far more lucrative as well. If you're going through the right entities and you're willing to kind of take that little bit of risk in terms of then focusing on a higher yield play. On the capital appreciation side, it's really a case of probably honing in on a specific location, doing your groundwork, and then trying to understand that where there is a property perhaps under market value, given the fact that whether they want to move urgently, wherever it may be. So that there are definitely opportunities. It really depends as to your risk profile and what you're looking to achieve.
Yeah, I guess what I saw, and as well, I'm in that type of profession, is 80% of the investors are trying to flip their properties before the last 40% on completion is coming.
Yes.
And I guess there is the point who an investor have to look on it. And I said all the investors who have liquidity and they can buy that type of apartments, because the investors don't have the money to afford the other 40%. You can buy it still in a good price. You don't have to wait the full 3 years,
Yes.
what the other investors did, and then just holding it other 8-9 months and then going back into the market and reselling the property. There I saw the biggest margins with 40 to 60% capital appreciation.
And one thing I've seen is a lot of the very big Asian and Indian families, they generally have a policy not to sell. They would much rather keep on building the portfolio. They can always refinance some of the properties as and when, if required. But to just keep the wheels turning, keep on increasing the portfolio, and then just decide on the level of leverage that they feel most comfortable with.
Absolutely. So this is as well my 2 rules. I guess the most thing what you can do now in the real estate market is to hold the properties, because till now you have the opportunity, how you said before, to buy in a good square feet price. Second of all, you can buy still in a good B location like JBC and Arjan, who is giving as well incredible return of investments and capital appreciations.
Yes.
You are still in the center, what you would not be more in 5-6 years. If you start investing late into Dubai, then it's going more into the south and into the north. And a lot of old communities. How you see, we have Jumeirah Park, we have Meadows, we have Arabian Ranges. all the communities starting to get old, Palm Jumeirah. So other hype, what is getting now is because we don't have a lot of demand on villas and townhouses. So the people are starting now with fix and flip. They're buying old villas, they renovate them, and they flip it and resell them.
No, exactly. So a very good friend of mine, they're actually doing a project in Emirates Hills right now. And again, the numbers are very, very interesting.
Yes.
Again, the key is understanding the market and also being willing to take the risk as well.
Yes, absolutely. So last but not least, what are your 3 strategies of closing a high value deal?
I think the key is to always sell without selling. The moment people feel that you're pushing too much, it defeats the purpose. If they understand that you're adding value in whichever capacity, then that's far more advantageous.
Absolutely, I totally agree. I had last week the question of one of my agents. He said, Mario, how is it possible that you're closing so much deals without seeing you to put a lot of efforts inside?
Yeah.
And I said, every time you have just to listen. I see a lot of real estate agents that are trying to convince and push investors to put their money into the deal.
Problem is you're already on the back foot at that point. It almost comes as a position of desperation. I mean, thankfully, given Capital Club, given the environment where I'm daily, operational, generally speaking, most people, especially if they've got very, very specific high-level requirements, they do their research. They've seen the various articles. They've seen Arabian Business in terms of the 30 under 40. These types of things help to gain a little bit of trust. And once you're seen on the same level in terms of you can add value with expertise, then it's just a case of letting things flow in terms of the conversation, giving the appropriate advice or opinion, and there's no necessity to kind of over push on that side.
Absolutely, because in the end of the day, the client is coming with a problem.
Exactly.
So you just have to find a solution. And if I buy something, I buy it with emotion. I say every time my dream was to drive one time a Ferrari. So if I go now to Dubai in the Ferrari store, there could be the worst sales guy in the Ferrari store, and he could convince me to buy the Ferrari. Why? Because it was my emotional dream in my young years to drive a Ferrari.
Exactly, yeah.
And this is the same. If you are coming to me and you want to buy a property and you're saying, I'm not happy because I'm living now in a 4-bedroom apartment, it's very small, I have 3 kids and I like to be near in the school. This is all problems what you're having currently. And if I find you that type of solutions and giving you the right solution as a property, and you're seeing it in front of your eyes, you will shake the hands with me and saying, thank you so much, Mario. So this is, I guess, everything what's meaning to get a skill about the understanding what you are selling and what the buyer is looking for.
And in many ways, the higher level the client, potentially the higher level of the magnitude of the concern or issue as well. And this is where trust and discretion are priority number one.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, and how do you build trust with potential investors or clients such in high stakes market?
I think the key is never to rush. The more you're kind of aligned in terms of what could be the way forward, then it will automatically come with time. If they understand that you come from a position of knowledge and strength, and you can really understand what are their major concerns, both what they're saying and subliminally as well, I think that makes a big, big difference in terms of them feeling comfortable for it then to be taken to the next step.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And how do you define leadership in a rapidly changing business world like Dubai?
So I think the key is flexibility here. At the end of the day, I think leadership it works on 2 different avenues. One is to actually kind of try and direct the ship and try and make sure that everybody follows some kind of guidelines or structure moving forward, but also always to have a listening ear as well. Because for many of the people who are on the ground in terms of day-to-day activities, they have the best inputs and vision in terms of what can be adapted to also improve efficiency.
Absolutely, totally agree with it. And what role do you see as a capital club playing in the future of global business networking?
So I think right now we have such a vast array of members from all across the world. And that will continue to be the case because the world is becoming far more connected. A lot of people are traveling through the UAE for their different kind of business requirements and activities. So I think it will just continue to evolve, Capital Club over the last 5-10 years has changed considerably, become far more kind of modernized in terms of its processes to adapt to be, as best use for its members throughout all of this time. So I see that it will continue to kind of keep on growing, keep on attracting the very high profile kind of people base from all across the world, because again, it means that they can conduct their day-to-day activities whilst they're in the UAE very, very comfortably. Also, one of the key aspects to mention is when our members are traveling, they can utilize a lot of the different reciprocal clubs around the world: London, Paris, Singapore, Hong Kong, and equally members of those clubs, if we have a reciprocal arrangement, when they're here in the UAE, they can also utilize. So we always have a lot of very interesting, high profile people who are coming to the club, some expected, some unexpected, celebrities, all different types of backgrounds.
Sounds amazing. Do you have a target of members, what you want to achieve in the next 5 years?
So realistically, the maximum capacity, I think, is 1,500 plus or minus. So again, I think that won't be long at all from 1,200 before we're at waitlist kind of position. But again, it's one of those things we play by ear.
Amazing. So, and what emerging trends do you think will reshape the business landscape in Dubai over the next 5 years?
So I think it's going to keep on adapting. I think right now we're seeing the adoption of AI, crypto, blockchain, all these different aspects. I think the way things are progressing, higher level education is going to be one of the key aspects. So right now we have all the major schools from a secondary education perspective, but it's my understanding, it wouldn't surprise me if some of the bigger names will be coming here from a university side. So that will also help in terms of diversification. Beyond that, I can also see manufacturing becoming a much more highly adopted kind of industry and sector as well. So I think those are the two that will continue to kind of flourish. The other ones, I'm sure, will continue to keep on growing along with the population. So yes.
Amazing. I punched you a lot of questions. Now it will be the last question from
No
my
problem.
side is,
Yeah.
what do you consider as the next big trend in sales or business development that companies should prepare for?
So I think sales is always the backbone of any given business, industry, or sector. It's always key in terms of retention of existing clients and also acquisition of new clients. I think that there will be a lot more kind of focus on how to push for sales to be more progressive, because it's becoming more and more competitive industry sector by sector. So I think there will be a far more focus of investment into how to best kind of motivate your sales team, how to best monitor, etc. So I think that this will continue to kind of grow more and more. And one of the things which I feel is super important in today's world is having that personal connection, face to face. The ability to network correctly is very much a skill these days. Being on a Zoom call or sending emails may have certain benefits, but face to face interaction, generating rapport, and then actually developing that into sales is a skill in itself.
Yes, but Dubai is very, let's say, it's a small city if you compare
Yes.
inhabitants, but there's a lot of areas. So for a new, let's say, investor or businessman who's coming or moving to Dubai, what is the first step where he can connect with people? Do you have any special spots, or do you know, or what would be your strategy if you would move new to Dubai?
So I would say there are a couple of different aspects. One would be based on your nationality in terms of the various business councils that are applicable. So you have most of the business councils here, which is always good as a sounding board in terms of feeling comfortable, understanding the investment landscape, what could be the implications both from your home country and also moving to the UAE. So that's always good as a starting point. Then obviously there's always, depending upon the level, you've got EO and YPO, which are two other kind of structures that are in existence here. Something like Capital Club is far more focused and business driven. And again, it holds value for sure, especially for people, investors moving new to the UAE.
Amazing. And for the audience who is listening now to us, if you could give one piece of advice to young professionals looking to build a powerful network, what would it be?
It's a different type of investment in many ways. You need to invest the time. You need to be open-minded. You need to understand when to push, when to pull back. It's a process like any other. It can be very, very fruitful as long as you spend your time wisely and you go with an open mind.
Amazing. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It was a pleasure having you here.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.